Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GSMC Pet Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, the one and only, the podcast network, our podcast network, where we listen to all our many podcasts. I'm your host, Taylor Cowan, and missed you last week. Took a week off. I was traveling. Yes, strange to travel in these times, but I had to. There's a family emergency I had to be taken care of. Flew to Florida, hung out in Florida for about half a day, had to drive all the way back. However, part of this emergency involved retrieving a vehicle. And it was a long drive. It was a fine drive. I had a good time. Stopped at a few places. We stopped at Graceland. Went through Kansas City. It's I Am Legend out there. There's no one walking the streets, not a single car. But, you know, the traffic was great. I couldn't have asked for better traffic in these trying times. That's the one thing I've looked forward to during this whole endeavor, this whole pandemic, quote unquote, is the amazing traffic. But that's neither here nor there. We saw some animals along the way, you know, it's pet related. We saw a lot of birds, a lot of different turkey vultures, picking at the lifeless armadillos on the side of the road. Armadillos, man, they don't fare well out there. You see a lot of dead armadillos driving from Florida, and other things too. Antelopes, a whole slew of them. You only see dead animals when you're driving. Folks, we're got an exciting topic today. I was in my backyard weeding the other day, and I was weeding an area that my cat had been hanging out in a lot, spending a lot of time in. And she'd go in this little area, this tall grass, weedy area, and just start rolling around. And what I found was a bunch of catnip. And I don't know if it was catnip exactly. There's different types of catnip. They're basically just like type of mint leaf, essentially. But yeah, she's been hanging out there all this time. When I went back there, I found some, and I dug it up. I brought it inside, dried it out, and now they just lay on it all day long. They've become junkies of sorts, cat junkies. So we're going to talk about that today. What is catnip? Why is it a thing? What other plants are there that dogs and cats get into, you know, that I can't get enough of? So let's start by talking about catnip. What it is, how it works, why it's a thing. So basically, catnip is a perennial herb and is a member of the mint family and can grow up to be about 3 feet high. The chemical compound in the plant that attracts and affects cats is called nepetalactone. Yes, remember that. You can pull that word out of your face when you want to sound smart in front of your friends. Nepetalactone. And as I said, it's in the leaves and the stems, which is basically the whole plant. I don't know why you need to specify it's in the leaves and the stems. It's not like a flowering plant. Nepetalactone is a stimulant when sniffed by a cat, producing a high that is described as being similar to either marijuana or LSD. And the effects last for about 10 minutes before wearing off and the cat going back to normal. I don't know how they determine that it's like marijuana or LSD, if they did some sort of brain scan on cats that, showed that it was the same, or they had to give a cat LSD to figure that out. Probably not good for the cat. But that's what they say, marijuana or LSD. And then, so that's when it sniffs the catnip. If you dry it out, leave it on the ground, it's like what they did with what I have. When a cat eats catnip, it acts as a sedative, but when it's smelled, it causes the cat to go crazy. It is thought to mimic feline pheromones and trigger those receptors. So they get off. They like it. Cats may react to the plant by rolling around, flipping over, and generally being hyperactive. And I've seen this with my cats. You give them catnip, and they freak out. They start running around the house, and they start fighting with each other. It's a lot of fun, actually. It's a lot of fun to watch. But it doesn't last long. So, go get some. Go try it out. It's not like you're going to ruin your cat by any means. About 50% of cats seem to be affected by catnip, and the behavior that results varies widely between individuals. And it is believed to be an inherited sensitivity. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So apparently it's like addiction problems. You inherit your love of the nip. If your cat does have the sensitivity, it will not emerge until your cat is several months old. Young kittens are not affected by the chemicals in the plant. Who knows why that is? You'll have to ask your veterinarian, because I'm not going to look into it. They're too young. They're too young to be having catnip anyways. You shouldn't even be trying at that supple young age. Cats may rub against and chew on catnip to bruise the leaves and stems, which then releases more nepetalactone. So I think that's why they roll around on top of it and get it all activated. Because mine would, my cat, when it was planted out in the yard, would spend an hour out there in the same spot and then take a nap on top of it. Catnip is safe for cats. If they eat a lot, they may vomit and have diarrhea, but will return to normal in a given time. And no more catnip after that. All right, just chill it out. If they're vomiting and diarrheaing, they've maybe had a little too much. Don't you think? Let's see. It is also known to help humans. It has been used for its sedative properties in humans for centuries, having similar properties to chamomile, and is very potent mosquito repellent. I didn't know that. That's mosquito repellent. I should have saved what I found in the yard to rub on myself. If cats are exposed to catnip frequently, they may no longer respond to it. Some people recommend that it shouldn't be given more than once every 2 or 3 weeks to prevent habituation. It's habit forming, folks. You don't want your cats to end up with addiction problems. And they will. Now, you can buy all sorts of toys and stuff. Some of the toys I've found, they have it in the toy, but those don't seem to work as well. You got to get the real stuff. If you go to Petco, you can buy it fresh. It comes, like you're buying a plant at a plant store. And then you can grow it in your home. I switched mine over to a big pot, and it grows fast. It grows fast and large. And it's not very, it's not a needy plant. You just add a little water, give it a little spray here or there, put it in some sun. Doesn't want too much sun, doesn't like it too hot. And it just grows like a weed, which I'm pretty sure it is. And you can smell, it's definitely part of the mint family. You can smell the mint on it. Folks, we're going to take a brief break here. When we get back, we're going to look up more catnip facts. We're going to do more catnip. We're going to talk about some other plants that cats love. Cats seem to be the most plant ready. The cats want to get high the most. And then dogs after that. I've got some stuff that you can use on your dogs to help them have a good time. And we'll also later on get into stuff you should avoid for your animals. Natural outdoor plants that you want to make sure your animals don't get into. So stick around. We're going to take a brief break. I will talk to you in just a moment.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And my friends, we are back. Welcome back to the podcast. We had a little break there. That was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. But it's time to talk more about the nip, baby. This is what the cool cats are doing down at the jazz club. Playing sax, sniffing nip. And they love it. They love it. Some cats could care less. According to what we just read. It's hereditary. You gotta inherit the love of catnip. Who knows how that started or why it started. Lazy cats, probably historically lazy cats just would eat nip and sleep all day, and that was their lives. Loser cats, as I'd call them. Probably don't have a job. Probably didn't graduate high school. Lots of problems with those cats. Now, I've grown catnip before. What you want to do is, in fact, let me pull up I had a recipe here for what to do with your catnip. Oh, it went away. Basically what you'll do, if you want to make like a nice catnip oil, and we'll talk about another oil for your dogs later on. grow some catnip. Like I said, you can get it at Petco. It's cheap. It's easy. Let it grow a bit. Pull off some leaves, and then get like what are they called? It's a little bowl with like the clay musher, and you just mush it in, mix it with some oil, throw it in the freezer, because the catnip will lose potency over time if it's just out in the air. You got some nip for your cat, baby. And they're going to love it. They're going to love you for it. Like I said, it'll last about 10 minutes. And, your cat's not going to get anything more out of it for up to 2 hours. After that first 10 minutes, they develop a tolerance. And then you got about 2 hours before you can give it to them again. But I would recommend like every 2 to 3 weeks. You don't want to overdo it. Maybe once a week. I'll say once a week. 2 to 3 weeks is kind of extensive. But yeah, about once a week, you are going to, you can put it on a little toy. You can throw it on their favorite laying down spot. Just sprinkle some on, and they're going to flip. They're going to flip out, and they're going to have a cool old time. That's what all the cool cats are doing. Where you can, I recommend getting the fresh catnip. Let's just say that. You don't want to get, the other stuff's really expensive. This other stuff comes in like the toys. Those ones I found they don't really work, and I think it's because they probably just stuff it in that toy, and then it just kind of, unless you get it straight from the factory, it's not going to be fresh. So it's going to lose a lot of potency. So don't do the toy. Get the fresh stuff. Like I said, I found it in my backyard, and I had planted some last summer, so maybe the wind blew it into this area where I found it. But I don't know. I think it's pretty easy to grow naturally, and so I reckon just make a whole little garden of catnip only. Now there's another plant cats really like that they also sell at Petco called cat grass. This one won't get them stoned like the catnip will, but they still enjoy it. Now, let's read a part of this article here. Nibbling on grass is a natural behavior for all cats. If you have an outdoor cat, chances are it's part of your kitty's daily routine. But if your pet spends all of its time indoors, like most domestic cats, you may want to consider growing cat grass in your home. Research has not yet shown why cats eat grass, but we have several ideas. In the wild, cats eat grass after they have eaten their prey. In many cases, the grass causes the cat to vomit. We believe this is nature's way of helping the cat expel the parts of the prey that are indigestible. So that's nice. It's interesting. The bones and stuff, the little bird bones that would clog up its intestines. Cute. Even if your indoor cat has never caught a mouse or a bird, she will instinctively be attracted to cat grass. Why? Well, it's a behavioral instinct. Grass is also a form of fiber that helps cats either throw up hairballs or digest them, acting as a laxative. Another theory is that cats may eat grass for some trace minerals and the vitamins A and D. Grass also contains chlorophyll, which, before the discovery of antibiotics, was a remedy for pain, infection, ulcers, skin disease, and anemia. Grass also contains folic acid, which helps with the production of hemoglobin, the protein that moves oxygen into the blood to help kitty circulation. Plus, there's the benefit of breath-cleansing chlorophyll. Yes, so if your cat's got good grass, or good breath, he's eating good grass. So it's not to be confused with catnip. Cat grass is typically grown from rye, barley, oat, or wheat seeds. You'll find a variety of kitty grass seeds at your local pet store, which contain everything you need, including seeds, soil, and potting container. But get your own soil and potting container. You don't need the expensive pet store stuff. Just get the seeds. You can probably find the seeds online for way less than at the pet store, too. The pet store is always trying to rip you off. Remember that. Pet stores always have exorbitant prices. Buy online if you can. Avoid the pet store if you can. Cat grass is safer than outdoor grass, which may have been chemically treated with pesticides. It also gives your cat a healthy alternative to nibbling on houseplants and flowers, many of which are toxic to cats, which we will talk about later. Is cat grass safe? Absolutely. It's totally safe. Safe alternative to outdoor grass, blah, 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 blah. We already talked about that. It provides your cat with opportunity to engage in a natural behavior. See, and that's what they want. You want them to live like they would in the wild, like a wild cat. You don't want them to be trapped in the house all day without any grass to eat. How do you expect them to get by? How do you expect them to get by? Now, if you want to grow some cat grass, here's some instructions. Get the seeds, buy the seeds online or at a pet store. Before sprouting, seeds should be kept in a damp, seeds should be kept damp but never soaked. Once sprouts appear, use less water. Allow 3 to 7 days for seeds to sprout. The grass will be ready for your cat to eat in 10 to 14 days after sprouting, or once it has reached a height of 4 inches, and will last 1 to 3 weeks. The cat grass I bought lasted a little longer than that. And it just kept growing, kept replenishing itself. So if you keep it in the right pot, it will be fine. Continue to keep it in natural light and water daily with a spray bottle. Do not overwater, as this causes mold. Allow your cats to eat directly from the container, and when the grass starts to wilt or turn color, plant a new container. So that's fun for cats too. You got to get the nip, you got to get the cat grass. You got to be growing them both in your house. It's, I'm going to say, vital for your cat's health. Let them get a little high, let them get high and then go chew on grass, because it's what they love to do. They're cats, and it's cat grass. We're going to take another brief break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the dog version of catnip. Yes, I didn't know it existed either. I'm going to go try it right after I finish recording this podcast, but we'll talk about it in just a second. See you then.
I want to talk to you guys about this amazing product I've been using lately called Hydrant. If you're like me and you want to kick the coffee habit, but you're worried about your energy levels depleting, to avoid the morning sluggishness and that midday slump, you need to make sure you're hydrated. It's super important. And that's where I've been using Hydrant. And for 25% off your first order, you can go to drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC at checkout. Hydrant is basically flavored electrolyte packets you mix directly into your water to make hydrating your body easy and delicious. And what I love about Hydrant, it's backed by research. The formula was developed by Oxford scientists to provide perfectly balanced, efficient hydration. Again, that's drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC for 25% off your first order. Another really cool thing about Hydrant, there's no synthetic colors or artificial sweeteners. The formula is vegan and you can choose between 3 different flavors or a variety pack. So for all my vegan friendly fellows out there, this one's for you. Again, this is drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello, my friends. We are back. We're talking about catnips. We're talking about cat grasses. And now we're talking about the dog's equivalent. Yes. A lot of people feel left out. That they can't get their dogs, getting crazy on whatever the hip new herb is on the streets. But I have news for you, my friends. There is something that is similar to catnip for a dog. It's called, I believe this is pronounced anise, A-N-I-S-E. It's kind of got that black licorice-y smell and taste. And it's kind of like the catnip for a dog. So let's read a little bit about it here. Aniseed, also called anise, is a plant that has long been used in human medicine for various applications from pain relief to gas relief. In moderation, anise for dogs and other animals is also used in holistic veterinary medicine to treat things like coughing. Somewhere along the way, however, someone discovered that when exposed to anise oil scent, given anise seeds, or given anise treats, dogs have a reaction similar to that of cats exposed to catnip. Thus, the rumor that anise for dogs is essential catnip for dogs started spreading. But there are dangers associated with this, so let's find out what these dangers are. Not all dogs have the same response to anise. First of all, just like not all cats have the same response to catnip, dogs that do react to anise become hyperactive and exceptionally mellow, which is why it works like catnip for dogs. This seems to be determined by your dog's natural temperament. Dogs that are naturally mellow tend to become hyper, and dogs that are hyperactive tend to become mellow. Now, dogs are also motivated to follow the scent of anise. Anise oil has been used on lures for racing greyhounds to encourage them to chase the lure around the track. Anise has also been used to create a trail for foxhounds to follow them when drag hunting, a humane alternative to fox hunting. Anise exposure in your dog. There are many herbs and plants that are unsafe for your dog, and we'll actually talk about those later in the episode as well. Is anise one of them? And the answer is yes and no. In limited quantities, anise for dogs is relatively safe. When exposed to larger amounts of anise, however, your dog will show symptoms of diarrhea and upset stomach. So don't let them eat a whole, bottle of it. Don't just go to the store and buy a big thing of it and throw it in with the dog food. When exposed to too much anise, your dog will show signs of nervous system depression. These symptoms may include lowered heart rate, decreased respiration rate, unconsciousness, and possibly coma or death. So yeah, be careful. Be very careful. How much anise is too much for your dog? Since your dog's reaction to anise will vary depending on their genetic makeup, their size, their age, and their current health condition, it is impossible to say how much anise is too much for your dog. The best way to find out how much anise is safe for your dog is to talk to your vet or a holistic veterinarian. If, after talking to one of these professionals, you still have reservations about anise for dogs, we recommend avoiding it completely. If you're uncomfortable doing it, just don't do it at all. I think that's a fair assessment, a safe bet, if you will. Now let's talk about how you use it, though, because it's going to be fun. Anise for dogs can be used with safety, and you can reap some of its little benefits. When you begin using anise with your dog, begin slowly with just a small pinch of seeds or a small diluted amount of essential oil for scent. Your veterinarian will be a great point of reference on how much anise it's okay to start with. There are also several different ways to give anise for dogs. You can get essential oil, or you can make your own. If you want to make your own, it's kind of the same as what I said with the catnip. You can get a mortar and pestle and get some raw anise seeds, mix them in there, crush them up, mix them with some sweet type of oil, let them soak for a few weeks. It takes a while for it to get all the oils out. But the dog can't eat the oil. Just so you know, they can only sniff it. I would think that would be obvious. But, some people don't have it all together. Now go look up some videos of dogs and Annis online because they love the stuff. I was just watching a video of a guy who had it in like a spray bottle and he just sprayed it on his blanket and the dog was just having a heyday, rolling around, breathing heavily. You could tell the dog was having a incredible time with the Annis. And I think it's fun. I haven't tried it yet personally. I'm going to. Like I said, after this, I think I'm going to go out and buy some. Or I might even have some in my kitchen. I kind of doubt it. But we will see. We will see. If we're all stuck inside now. Your dogs want to have a good time too. Give them some Annis. They're going to love it. And it's not quite the same as catnip. I don't think. It's not like they, like catnip gets them kind of stoned, is what I understand. Like it's like LSD or marijuana. LSD seems a little extreme. I highly doubt it's like LSD. But Annis is more, I think they just love the smell a ton. I don't know if they actually hallucinate or anything. Which I don't necessarily want my dog hallucinating anyways. My dog's already pretty hyperactive. I'm hoping for more of the mellow out symptoms. That would be preferable to me and my dog. But that's neither here nor there. Every dog's going to experience it differently. I would think the oil would be the best way to go. There is a ton of recipes on the line. If you want to make treats out of the Annis, go online. And they're all pretty easy. Usually most of them seem just like flour. And here, let's scroll down here, look at a couple of them. They're baked usually. So yeah, you can make little cookies and oat bran treats. Annis and molasses. I just like how that sounds. Annis and molasses. Yeah, most of them are like little cookies and all super, super easy to make. Just don't put chocolate with it. We all know that, right? We all know that your dogs cannot eat chocolate. We understand this. We should have deep, strong emotions about this. Your dogs don't want chocolate. Don't give it to them. Folks, we're getting ready to take another break here. When we get back, we are going to talk about plants that are outside or maybe growing in your house that are common but are not good for your animals. And I got a huge list here. So that I've got another thing planned for the very end of the show, but this might take up a lot of the show. I might have to schedule the other thing for next week, but we'll see how it goes. Enjoy the break. I'll talk to you in a sec.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Here we are. We're back. Folks, we're talking about plants for your pets. We've been mostly focusing on the plants that give your pets a little buzz, but we don't have to talk about just that. You can also talk about the ones that will kill your pets, and there's a lot of them. We're going to focus mostly on dogs here, because dogs seem to just eat more things, and I'll try and, there's a long list. So I'm going to try and focus on mostly the more common ones, I guess. And we'll talk about what they are and their rating on how deadly they are, from 1 to 4. So, chamomile. You got chamomile growing in your yard. You can drink it in your tea or whatever. I love it. But it's not safe for your dogs. Vomiting, diarrhea, anorexia, allergic reactions. And then if they are eating it all the time, they can get internal bleeding. So that's a dangerous one. Another common one that you might even have just lying around your house are chives. Both of these, chamomile and chives, are 2 out of 4 danger. So about 50% dangerous. And along with chives, garlic and onions. They do not like it. Don't let your dogs get chives or garlic or onions. And those are things that are going to be laying around your house that they could get into. Garlic's a very common one. For all you home brewers, hops. With home brewing on the rise, you may need to watch out for hops growing in your backyards, or if you got them laying around the house because you like to brew at home. The effects can be quite severe. Dried hops being the most toxic. So symptoms: heavy panting, high body temperature, seizures, and even death. So highly toxic to dogs. I don't know, if dogs know enough to avoid these types of things, that they can sniff it out, but I don't think they can. I think it's a safe bet just to not have it around. Leeks, commonly used in cooking and soups, and it's the same thing. It's part of the onion family. Not good for dogs. Very uncomfortable symptoms for dogs. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, weakness, collapse, pale gums. Just keep an eye out for that. Onion, shallots, we kind of already talked about that. That's another 2 out of 4. Rhubarb. Again, another thing you will have around the house if you like to eat healthy. Excuse me. Drooling, loss of appetite, vomiting, diarrhea. A lot of the same as the onions and stuff. This is another 2 out of 4. So don't worry too much about rhubarb, I guess, but still be careful. Tomato plant. Tomato vines and leaves, particularly. The tomatoes themselves, I'm pretty sure the dogs can eat. So don't worry too much about that. But yes, the plant itself, the leaves, the stems, so on, so on. Now for flowers, vines, herbs, amaryllis. Dogs don't like it. Asparagus fern. Not good for plants. And this one is extremely dangerous. Autumn crocus. Not to be confused with the more common spring crocus, the autumn blooming crocus can cause very severe gastrointestinal upset and even respiratory or kidney failure and death. The spring crocus can still cause gastrointestinal upset, but the symptoms are usually mild. So this one can kill your dog. You got it growing in your yard and you got a dog, I recommend just getting rid of it. That's a 4 out of 4 on the danger list. Bleeding heart, these buttercup, castor bean. This is another super dangerous one. Castor bean is a big, beautiful ornamental if you live in a warm enough climate to sustain one year round. However, the deadly toxin ricin can be found within the beans. Ricin is not good for dogs or people. That can kill you too. So yeah, be careful with ricin. I think you have to, I learned that from Breaking Bad, the TV show. And he had to like do all sorts of chemical stuff with it. Cyclamen, the daffodil, is very bad for the dog. This one coming up is especially dangerous. Foxglove. Foxglove may be beautiful, but all parts of the plant are very toxic for dogs, cats, and even humans to consume. Don't ever eat a foxglove. I don't care what kind of creature you are. It'll kill you. Hosta, not so dangerous. Iris. Ivy. Ivy grows a lot where I am, so I have to watch out for that. Lilies. If you got any sort of lilies in your house, only a few are poisonous to dogs. Lily of the Valley. Monkshood, it's not good. Morning Glory is not good, and that's commonly found outside. Primrose, that one's not too dangerous. Now this one is super dangerous. The Star of Bethlehem. Beautiful star-shaped flower. The Star of Bethlehem contains a toxin that behaves similarly to a common heart and veterinary medicine, Digitalis or digoxin. Possible symptoms are drooling, nausea, vomiting, changes in heart rate, cardiac arrhythmias, weakness, collapse, dilated pupils, tremors, seizures, and death. So again, watch out. You don't want your pets to die from eating something that's just naturally occurring in your backyard. Let's talk about some trees. Apple trees. No. Yeah, and the apples will just fall to the ground and they'll eat the apples. And they like that. My dog likes to do that with pears. Luckily, we no longer have an apple tree in our backyard. Apricot trees, also not good. Apricots are safe for the dogs to eat, but the leaves and the stems are really bad. Real bad. Burning bush, not good. Cherry trees, really not good. The leaves, stems, pits, none of that. You don't want any of that for your dog. Oleander, this one's a 4 out of 4, folks. Be careful. Oleander is a lovely garden shrub prized for its evergreen leaves and pale pink, purple, or white flowers, but is one of the more toxic plants found in the garden. Possible symptoms are colic, diarrhea, sweating, incoordination, shallow, difficult breathing, muscle tremors, and yeah, it can cause cardiac failure. So watch out for that one. Peach trees, and it's just the stems. They can usually eat the fruits, but you know, who's going to waste a good peach on your dog? And plum trees as well. Also, same kind of deal. They can eat the plum, but you don't want them to eat the leaves or the stems, which are typically attached to the plum. Holly, Christmas plant. This one's not quite as dangerous, but, you know, still, watch out if you can. And another extremely dangerous one for humans, dogs, pretty much every animal, as far as I know. Yew, it's spelled Y-E-W, a common evergreen with many variations. The yew tree or shrub is extremely toxic to dogs, humans, and many other animals. The genus name Taxus is even where we get the term toxic. So just don't even have this in your garden. I don't know why you would want that. Possible symptoms are drooling, vomiting, weakness, difficulty breathing, life-threatening changes in blood pressure and heart rate, dilated pupils, tremors, seizures, coma, and death. So, folks, avoid these plants in your garden. When we get back, we're going to talk about some plants that are dangerous for your cats to consume. And there's plenty of those too. We talked about the good ones. Now it's time for the bad ones. Talk to you in a sec.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And we are back, folks, talking about dangerous plants for your dogs to eat. We just finished up that list. And you should go online and look, if you think there's anything in your plant or in your garden that might be deadly, keep an eye out for it. Because it's not good. It's not good, and you might not even know they're out there. We did a dog list, and there's a lot more that I didn't mention. I just tried to mention the most common ones, and you only have so much time. Now let's do the ones that are dangerous to your cats. All cat parents should know the most common plants that are poisonous to cats. Whether in your yard or in your home, you'll want to keep certain plants and flowers away from your feline companions. The toxicity of various plants and flowers can range from mild to severe depending on the poisonous component of the plant. So, one plant that is extremely dangerous to cats is the lily. Lilies are a very big deal because they cause acute, potentially fatal kidney failure. And I had a peace lily hanging around my house. My cats would nibble on it. And they eventually stopped because they figured it out. It gave them a little, I think, like a rash in their mouth or around their face. And they stopped doing that. But let's go through some of the popular plants that, might be in your yard. Number one is the autumn crocus. The autumn crocus, also known as a meadow saffron or naked lady, is a common ornamental flowering plant that blooms in the fall. Autumn crocus is poisonous to dogs, cats, and horses. So watch out for that. It's a pretty plant. I feel like I've seen these in my yard. I will watch out for them this year. Azaleas and rhododendrons. I don't know how to say that. Azaleas. I know how to say azaleas, but I don't know how to say that other word. It looks like rhombus, like a long version of rhombus with a lot of D's. Flowering shrubs, small trees, toxic to cats. There are more than 1,000 species in this family of plants, and the degree of toxicity varies from moderate to severe. Toxic component is called granotoxins. All part of the plant are toxic, and the cat can become poisoned by ingesting a tiny amount of the plant. Watch out for that. Cats are small. Cyclamen, also known as Persian violet, and sowbread, is a genus of more than 20 species of perennial flowering plants that are often kept indoors. The tubers and roots are the most toxic, but all parts of the plant contain the toxic component saponins. So watch out for that one. Narcissus, including daffodils. This is the same with dogs. Daffodils are not good for dogs. Spring perennials. All parts of the plant contain a poisonous agent, lycorin, but the bulbs are the most toxic. So watch out for those. Dieffenbachia. Dieffenbachia, known as charming Dieffenbachia, dumb cane, exotica perfection, and giant dumb cane, gold spotted dumb cane. There's lots of different names for it. This common houseplant contains insoluble calcium oxalate crystals, which cause oral irritation. Although generally not deadly, exposure to this plant is extremely painful and uncomfortable for cats. So these plants should be not kept in a home with cats. And my cats, cats like to nibble on stuff all over the place. Kalanchoe. The flowering houseplant Kalanchoe is known for mother-in-law plant devil's backbone, mother of millions of chandelier plants. Blah, blah, blah. Dangerous. Watch out. Here's a big one. Lilies, because these are everywhere. Although many plants contain the word lily in their name, Dr. Wismer says certain species are the most dangerous for plants, including Asiatic lilies, Easter lilies, Japanese show lilies, rhumbrum lilies, stargazer lilies, red lilies, tiger lilies, western lilies, wood lilies, and day lilies. Easter lilies are very dangerous for cats. Ingestion of any part of the plant or even the pollen can cause kidney failure. So that's one you don't want around at all. Pollen floats around in the air, they breathe it in. Cats need only ingest a tiny bit of the aforementioned lilies, for instance, chewing on one or two petals or leaves, to take in enough toxin to cause death. Even just licking the pollen from the flower or drinking water from the vase of lilies can spell death for a cat. If you suspect that your cat may have come in contact with a lily, contact your veterinarian or poison control immediately. Do not wait, as prompt treatment can mean the difference between life and death. Cat owners should never keep lilies in the house. The risk is too high. I broke that rule with my peace lily, but they mostly avoided that. Like I said, I think they did nibble on it at one point, and then it probably didn't make them feel very good. Oleander, also known as Nerium oleander, white oleander, and rose bay, is a popular outdoor flowering shrub found in warm climates. Oleander contains cardiac glycide toxins, which adversely affect the heart muscles. Symptoms will include drooling, vomiting, diarrhea, incoordination, tremors, seizures, and fatal heart abnormalities. All parts of the oleander plant are toxic, including the water in the vase. So watch out for that, because my cats like to drink out of random things. And I'm sure yours might too. You got the sago palm. Sago palm, also known as Kunti palm. It's an interesting name. Cardboard palm, cycads, and zinnias is a common plant found outdoors in tropical, subtropical areas. Certain sago palms are also kept as houseplants. All parts of the sago palm plant are toxic, but the seeds are the deadliest, according to the Pet Poison Helpline. The main toxic compound is cycacin, the ASPCA says, which causes severe liver damage. So watch out for that. You got palms around your house. Keep an eye out. Those look very appetizing. They hang down in front of your cat's eyes, tickle their noses. And finally, we have the tulip and the hyacinth. Popular in bouquets and gardens, tulips and hyacinths are both part of the Liliaceae family, which also includes the deadly lily species. Yes, they're part of the same family, of course. Murderous bunch. Tulips contain tulipalin A and tulipalin B, and hyacinths contain possibly narcissus-like alkaloids, according to the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center. Although all parts of the plants and flowers contain the dangerous compounds, they are most concentrated in the bulbs, according to the Pet Poison Hotline. So, watch out for the bulbs, watch out for the stems. You don't want anything that's going to kill your pet. How about that? Some plants may not be deadly, but can cause upset stomach if ingested. It can be difficult to keep cats away from plants, since most cats go wherever they want, including on countertops and window ledges. So you don't try and hide it somewhere. They'll find a way. Whether indoors or outdoors, putting your plants in containers or large planters will elevate them so your pets can't access them or dig or chew on them. Hanging planters are a great option as well. If you suspect your cat has ingested any part of a plant that's poisonous to cats, even just chewing or licking the leaves or flowers, take immediate action. Don't wait around. Don't wait to see what's going to happen. And then, go online. There's a whole nother list, like lots and lots and lots of plants that are poisonous to cats and humans too. Like most of the ones that are poisonous to cats are also poisonous to humans. And, a lot of them you don't see very often. I think those ones we just listed were the more common ones. Now, folks, when we get back, we got one final segment here. We're going to talk about not getting your plant high on human drugs. Interesting topic. Stick around. I will talk to you in a second.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, folks, so here, nearing the end of the podcast here. We talked about catnip, the catnip for dogs, assign, and a bunch of different plants that, you don't want your animals to get into because it will kill them. And there's another plant you don't want your animals to get into. It's called marijuana. Folks, super popular plant these days. It's legal in a lot of states now, so a lot of people leave it out. And you don't want to do that. You don't want your dog to get into it. It's no shocker that cats and dogs can get high. Unfortunately, many marijuana users believe the experience of getting their pets in such a state is a benevolent act that will strengthen their bond. But the way in which pets experience a high can be extremely unpleasant and harmful. The effects of marijuana exposure to cats and dogs include lethargy, breathing problems, decreased blood pressure, heartbeat irregularity, and urinary incontinence. However, simple exposure to marijuana is not the concern of veterinarians reporting instances of poisoning. The deadlier possibility is the ingestion of edible marijuana products, remains of marijuana cigarettes, or marijuana itself. Dogs are particularly at risk for indiscriminately eating one of such products inside or outside the home, and marijuana overdoses in pets may cause seizures, severe depression, and comas. Don't get your dogs high, folks. It's not funny. It's not cool. It's not nice. Treatment for severe cases of THC overdose in pets include IV fluids and respiratory support. If you use marijuana, please don't discard any leftovers because you assume it is biodegradable or for whatever other reason, no matter how small. What is a tiny dose for a human can be a very toxic dose for a pet. Lethal cases of marijuana poisoning in dogs were the result of situations in which unattended pets choked on their vomit while unconscious or suffered from hypothermia. Attentiveness is a key when avoiding an emergency poisoning situation to your pet. If it happens, take them to the vet. Don't be afraid. The vet's not going to call the cops or anything. As responsible marijuana users, medical or recreational, legal or non-legal, it is imperative that the remains of products with large amounts of THC are disposed of in a proper manner. If you own pets and use marijuana, be conscious that you are not leaving anything tempting in reach for a pet to consume. Even if you do not use a marijuana but own pets, be aware of what your pets eat in frequented public areas such as parks or sidewalks. The last thing any marijuana user wants to do is harm an innocent cat or dog, especially considering the close relation of cat memes and cute dog videos into the marijuana community. You should always be considerate for the well-being of not only the plant, but also the pets that live on it. And in doing so, you can contribute to an increasingly weed-friendly society. It's going to be legal everywhere soon. Just keep that in mind. I mean, odds are it's going to be legal everywhere soon. So watch out. A lot of people like to make marijuana edibles out of gummies and candies and chocolates. Dogs love that kind of stuff. Cats, not so much. I wouldn't worry so much about a cat as I would a dog. But cats too, a tiny amount will get them. Don't blow smoke in your animal's face. Does that seem nice to you? Would you like if someone did that to you, called you over, and then grabbed you by the side of your head and held you there and blew it up your nose? Because that's what people do. They blow it in their ears a lot. I've known a lot of people who blow marijuana smoke in their dog's ears and say, well, it goes straight to the brain. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. Idiot. Stupid. But yeah, don't do it in their ears, in their mouth, on their nose, wherever. It's weird. It's gross. And discard. If you're going to partake, discard of all your old stuffs. Give them some catnip. You want them to get high while you're getting high? Get them some catnip. And throw it on the ground and lay down there with them and smoke a joint. It's no big deal. You don't have to. It's not a bonding experience. Dogs don't know. It's too much for a dog. Doesn't know what's going on. It's scary. You don't want to put your dog through that, or your cat. Especially your cat. Cats, I feel like, would hate you after that. So just don't do it. And, if you could get any other drugs too, don't leave remnants of drugs out anywhere. Because animals like it. Imagine if you had like a monkey or something and it got into, I don't know, cocaine. That would be a mess. Be a big mess. So we talked about a lot today, folks. Catnip. Get your cat some catnip. Grow it yourself. Cat grass. They want to eat the cat grass. They like to eat grass, not marijuana. Not marijuana. Don't give them that. Regular cat grass you buy at the store. Put a little seed in the garden. Plant them a big old crop. And, we talked about for dogs, Asinine, I think it was called, A9, who remembers? Look it up. Catnip for dogs, dog nip. Basically the same thing. They love it. Give it a shot on your dog, but, remember, take it easy. Don't give it too much. See how it feels about it first. And we talked about deadly plants. Watch out in your backyard for lilies, for apple tree stems, like fruit tree stems and leaves. You don't want them to eat those. Your dogs will get sick. They won't like it. They will die. They will die. And again, marijuana. Don't get your dogs high on real human drugs. It's not their thing. They're animals. They're not humans. They're not people. So don't give them drugs that are meant for people. Folks, that should do it for today's podcast. We'll be back again. Well, I'll be back again on Friday with a brand new podcast. And I'll be fully rested. I just barely got back into town. I'm still feeling a little tired from the whole journey. We're going to have a fresh, hot new episode for you on Friday. It's going to be great. Remember to head over to our Twitter page, GSMC Pet Podcast, Twitter page, Instagram, Facebook. Leave us a shout out, say what's up, tell us how it is, and leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening from, whether that be Apple Music. We're on a ton of different streaming platforms, so wherever you are, just leave us a 5-star review. Share us with your friends, share us with your family. Tell your coworkers. Tell the cat lady across the street, be like, hey, why is there a lily growing in your yard? What's wrong with you? Teach people the way of pets and podcasts. This has been the GSMC Pet Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Taylor Cowan. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. You're the best listeners. We love you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.